morning, everybody.
Good morning.
What did you have so far this morning? A mock? How was that? It was great. Professor Sullivan is amazing. So I wanted to start off by just welcoming you all to Boston and Cambridge. I have lived here my entire life, so it's really exciting to see this amount of like melanin. I'm having a Wakanda moment. This is real, this is amazing. And I think that this week has really, I hope it has inspired you, but it has certainly inspired me with the elections that have happened. We have an Attorney General, Keith Ellison, in Minnesota. We have Letitia James in New York. I was corrected today, we have 17 black women judges in Texas. All my Texas people. We have 8 women of color elected to the House. Massachusetts is overjoyed by Ayanna Pressley being the first Massachusetts Congresswoman. And then as an attorney, and Rachel Rollins is a past president of the Massachustts Black Lawyers Association. So we are also excited to have our first black woman district attorney here in the Commonwealth. And let us not lose sight of Andrew Gillum and Stacey Abrams, because it's not over yet, you understand? So Evangeline's not here, but I wanted to thank her for bringing her conference to Massachusetts. She has every place that she can go, and she has chosen to come here. Massachusetts is blue, we are progressive, but when we talk about black lawyers and law students and judges, we are falling short of our responsibility. And so we hope that by you all coming here, you see our legal talent, you find a reason to come here and to stay here. We often lose law students because they go to different states. There's challenges as getting hired. So we do hope that you see what we have to offer, and you stay and you commit yourselves to the profession here in Massachusetts. Who am I? I'm the president of the Massachustts Black Lawyers Association. It's not a paid position. I do this out of love for lawyers and law students. I started with the organization about 6 years ago. I came on as a director. Our terms are 1 year each. And after that, I was the secretary, then I was the vice president, and then I was the president-elect. And now I am in 7 months as the president of the organization, and I will be finishing up in April. But I have been tirelessly committed to this organization and the work that we do, and the people that we work with, and the law students and lawyers that we aspire to be their greatest self. What else do I do? What do I get paid for? I work for the Massachusetts Trial Court, and I am a co-director in a department we call Support Services. I hate the name because it really doesn't represent what we do, but my day in and day out is access to justice. But it's on the civil side, and so that means that I work with my team and my centers and my law librarians and my lawyers to assist people that cannot afford lawyers as they handle probate, civil, consumer matters, housing court matters, child support, custody, whole gamut of civil matters where we just don't have access to attorneys. Legal aid is inundated, and people are coming into the courthouse trying to figure out, how do I prevent myself from being evicted? How do I file for divorce? How do I get access to services? How do I get my child access to services? I have a child that's going to jail. I have a child that is suffering from substance use disorder, and I need to get guardianship of my grandchild. And so we help them, and we have 6 centers throughout the Commonwealth. We have 15 law libraries, and so that's what I do on a daily basis. I also participate as one of 3 directors in the Office of Court Management on a lot of leadership initiatives. I then become called upon, because I am a black woman attorney, to assist with, how do we talk about race? How do we create the capacity to have race conversations throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts? And how do we kind of change the narrative of our criminal justice system? Other areas that I touch upon, which are really interesting, is that we try to find and use technology to help people. We try to look at evidence-based practices. What do court users really need? Our courts have really convoluted and complicated forms that talk about fiduciaries and therewith for thou, whatever. And the common person doesn't understand what that means. If this is their first time here in Massachusetts, if this is their first time here in our country, how things work in their particular country may be different. If English isn't their first language, all of the challenges that people face, and most of the people that we serve look like you. And they're black and they're brown and they are struggling. And so it really gives me great excitement to work in that space. I also talk a lot about family law and guardianship. I've written chapters on guardianship here in Massachusetts. I've talked about family law. I've taught lawyers. I've mentored lawyers in family law space. There's not a lot of black lawyers that handle family law matters. So I try to encourage more black law students and lawyers to be in the family law space because, again, the people look like you and I, and there's this level of confidence that people have when our lawyers look like us and feeling that we are being taken care of. I talk to lots of correctional institutions. One area that when we talk about re-entry, we always talk about housing, we always talk about job readiness. Here in Massachusetts, our laws are set up where if you have back child support, you lose your license, you lose your professional licenses, you can lose your passports. And so, you know, when you're coming out of incarceration and you don't have stable housing and you're trying to get a job, but you lost your license, how do you drive there? If you're a plumber, or a carpenter, or a barber, how do you go back to doing that when our Department of Revenue has taken your license from you? That really just kind of makes it difficult, and we already know what the populations are of people that are incarcerated. So again, who is it that is being affected by these rules? So that's the space that I'm in. Evangeline talked about people being here and wanting to show you the ropes and to love on you, and the amount of love that has gone into this particular program. I think that as you think about your space and your place and the things that you're doing, always kind of find yourself doing board work and doing service. It's this self-gratifying, but the network and the people that you meet going and participating in leadership programs, attending conferences like this, participating on boards, doing community service, giving back to your churches, that is really where you're going to meet the people that are going to help you on this pathway, because this is not an easy path, and it's surely not an easy path for black lawyers and law students. It's just not. And so, you know, find yourself committed to this work. Find yourself committed to taking care of yourself. And so, where I found my place in law, it wasn't a direct path. I had no idea what I was going to do. I thought I was going to go to law school. I got to college. I left Boston. I said, I'm out of here. Time to go. I want a new space. I'm taking my talents to DC. I got to George Washington University. At that time, it was Chocolate City. I don't think it is anymore. But at that time, it surely was. And I said, this is where I'm going to go. And I got there. And we had September 11th, and then we had anthrax, and then we had the sniper, who I was so disappointed was our brother. But it was challenging, you know, far away from home, and I still had my ties to Boston. So I came back, I worked, and then I went off to law school. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know what I was going to practice. But I knew I was going to law school. I knew I wanted to help people. And I knew that the community that I grew up with, you know, in the 80s was, you know, diverse. I was raised by parents, grandparents, my friends' parents, my aunts, the uncles, the neighbors. You know, it was truly a village, and I knew that I wanted to make sure that I gave back to that community and the people that represented that community. I then went through law school. I didn't go into law school and say I'm just going to do criminal law and those are all the classes that I take. I didn't do that. I worked at a small firm. I did family law. I did medical malpractice. I worked in legal aid, doing business and real estate, housing, And then I went off to government, quasi-government. I worked for Massport. And so I just kind of confused myself through the process because I knew I wanted to keep trying different things. But then I found myself in family law, and I really realized that family law became a space that there was underrepresentation of Black lawyers, and the people that needed to be served looked like me. And so I said, this is my thing, this is where I'm going to focus, and that's what I've done for the past 10 years. So, you know, I say that to say, when you start on your journey, you know, you're probably wondering to yourself, what am I going to do? Who do I want to be? What practice? Because when you meet people, they're going to say, oh, you're a lawyer? What do you practice? Or you're in law school, what are you studying? And they don't understand that, you know, I could study whatever I want and still come out and, you know, do contracts and then go and litigate. So, you know, think about what it is that you want to do, but know that you do not have to have a clear path on where you're going. You can go this way and that way, and ups and downs, and lots of turns. So know that you don't have to be committed to something, so long as you're committed to yourself and you're committed to the profession. You are going to fail. You're going to fail at things. You know, you are going to hit bumps in the road. You are going to meet people that tell you you aren't good enough. You are going to meet people that challenge your skills, that believe that you are here because of affirmative action. But it is important that you know yourself, you remain to yourself, dedicated, committed, persevere, forge forward, and you have a network of people that truly love you and want to see you living your best life. Because this is tiring, it is emotionally draining, it is stressful, regardless of what space that you go in. But I think that as you go through this path, the people that you have in your corner, the people that you rely upon, your friends, your family, your colleagues, your network are really going to be the people that really help you get to the next level. So before I conclude, I have 5 rules that I've always had, and I tell people these every time. 1, focus on your education. Education is extremely important. Your grades, your writing skills, your speaking skills, your oral skills, all of that is extremely important. I know that we like to turn up often, but while you're in college and law school and studying for the bar, we're going to turn down for a little bit. The second rule is don't be afraid to tell your family and your friends to fall back. Growing up here in Boston, I was surrounded by them. You know, I could go out one door to the left and there was one and the other, and it's, you know, they don't understand the amount of time and dedication that it takes to be successful in this profession. So don't be afraid to tell them, not today, not tonight. Maybe you're not showing up for Thanksgiving dinner because you got to study for midterms. Because I always say it's a short-term sacrifice for a long-term goal. You can get with them when you're done. Rule number 3, again, have a network of people at school. You want to have your group of people that you reach out to, that you eat with, you study with, and most important, you hold each other accountable. If you said you were going to do a brief and practice exams, you don't want to be the one in the group that didn't do what you were supposed to do. If you're doing a group project, you don't want to be the one that holds your group members back and that they have to do your work. And what I can also tell you is, if you are a first-generation law student, your family does not want to talk about the statute of frauds, statute of limitations, or court of satisfaction at dinner time, okay? 4 is take care of yourself emotionally, mentally, physically, gym, nutrition, and depending on what area of law you're interested in, if you are woke, you will need to say a prayer as well, because this is difficult. 5, be kind. And I know you're all wondering why be kind. Your reputation is everything in this profession. There's not many Black lawyers, whether it's here or in another state. Be kind. People will probably remember you if you're a nice person, but they most certainly will remember you if you're mean, if you're a jerk, if you're not nice to people. And so those are things that you want to remember, because as soon as you have a reputation of behaving that way, or just not being kind, or not smiling, oh, that's the mean girl, that is what will carry with you, and it's really hard to bounce back from that. And my bonus, it's 2018, we live in a social media era. You've probably been told 100 times to Sunday, guard your image, pay attention to what you post on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. 24 hours doesn't really mean 24 hours. When it's out there, and it's out there to the world. Your employers are looking at it. People you might see in 5 years from now are gonna go back and look at it. LinkedIn is just as important. You know, I know when I'm hiring, I'm searching, Googling, and doing everything to figure out who people are, who they hang out with. Be mindful of what your friends tag you in. Because again, once it's out there, it's out there. And so I always tell people, think about what your 10-year-old older self would say. You know, if you're 25, would you at 35 want to post that? Would you want to see, or would you cringe and say, ooh, not today? So think about that. Evangeline's not here, but again, I just want to say thank you all for allowing me to be here, allowing me to, you know, speak to you. I just want to acknowledge your attendance here. Lawyers are hard to get this many in a room. The fact that you all came from far and wide is an indication of your commitment to yourselves and a commitment to this profession, and that you all should give yourselves a pat on the back for that. And so be yourself, be true to yourself, be amazing, be smart, and let your melanin magic shine bright. Thank you all.